Good afternoon, preppers. Happy Monday. I hope your holidays went well. And we definitely cannot say that for everybody in the country by any means. We actually had two videos come out, mostly just saying happy holidays and talking about the coming blizzard and the blizzard that did not happen where we're at here in Michigan. We got very little snow, which is great. But that is certainly not the case for a big chunk of the country. And this video must be a stark warning for you. It must be a wake-up call for you, because we've talked about this even last year when we talked about as far as the temperatures dropping in Texas and people without heat. And now this is only in December. We haven't even hit January, February, March, where some of these storms coming through could actually be even more catastrophic, because these storms did indeed hit the country, even though they didn't hit here in Michigan. And there is no better evidence than these storms that went through to prep. This is very important. But I want to take a look at some articles and see just how vulnerable we are, because I think people, not necessarily people who watch this channel, but people overall kind of think that, oh, these things won't happen to me. Or if they do happen, the government's going to take care of me. Or even if the government's not there, at least we have EMS. And let's go ahead and look at some articles to show how catastrophic this was, and even more so how those statements couldn't be more false. So we start off looking at Buffalo, New York specifically. However, this is not just Buffalo. That toll hit 25 from region's worst blizzard in decades. It's actually far more than 25 now from what I understand. But, Buffalo, and the thing is, Buffalo is used to having severe lake effect snow, probably some of the worst in the country. Powerful blizzard hit western New York. And they actually brought the morning briefing that the country's tally storm-related deaths had jumped by 12 overnight. And some of the stories, by the way, if you read through them, are horrific. The blizzard, deemed the area's worst in 45 years, took form late Friday and pummeled western New York. Next article, widespread freezing temperatures to continue through Christmas. Now, this actually was a few days ago, but I wanted you to see this article because it talks about this simply, obviously, is not just Buffalo. But it says right here, the National Weather Service said on Friday its warnings and advisories covered 200 million people. That's over half the population of the country. One of the greatest extensive winter weather warnings and advisories ever. Talks about in Ohio, 50 cars were in a pileup, killing 4. An 82-year-old woman was found dead outside of her assisted care facility in Michigan. How did she get out there? Were the people not watching what's going on? And I find this fascinating. Z News, this is actually out of India. They report bone-chilling winter storms in the U.S. leads to power outage in 1.4 million homes. Talks about, like we saw before, 60% of the U.S. This is interesting. 60% of the U.S. population experienced winter weather advisories or warnings due to a severe winter storm. And again, they're actually talking about this in India. Power outage in 1.4 million homes. And this is actually the part I really want you to see in this. Power utilities in some areas are implementing rolling blackouts in an effort to conserve energy as the storm continues to cause havoc. And this could be probably the most sobering statement for the fact that we take utilities for granted, electricity for granted, to be able to heat your home, to be able to push the heat from your furnace. And as they push this green initiative and claim there's climate change, you would think, logically speaking, that, if there is climate change and we're going to see more blizzards, let's not shut down the coal plants. Let's try to do what we can to make sure people at least have power, because people are going to die. People have been dying because of this. The situation is grave. And so therefore, you need to understand that the government is flat out saying that we don't have enough power for you. So having some kind of electricity, even just a small solar generator to use a fan to blow heat around your house, any of those things could literally be life-saving. We have to be able to have power. Hopefully you have a generator or something like that to be able to keep power going. Because again, when your furnace shuts down, you have no heat.
Monday morning, emergency crews stuck as well.
In the worst affected areas, there is no emergency service available.
And this should be a wake-up call, because understand that I think so many people depend on emergency services being available. And this isn't as huge of a knock on the government as I could put on them, because understand that our government, local municipalities, are also stuck and basically held subservient to the weather. They don't have the machinery. Even if they do, these extreme blizzards that come through are simply enough. So it's not simply just blaming, the government isn't taking care of us, but it should be, as humans, as mankind, we haven't actually gotten to a situation in which we feel like we can actually take care of ourselves in all these situations. We can't do it. I mean, the list goes on, earthquakes and volcanoes and such too, especially when it comes to Western New York and their huge blizzards. But it comes down to this. It's not knocking the government this. It's coming down to you need to be prepared. You need to be ready for this because it's not up to the government anyway to take care of you. It's up to you to take care of you, or at the very least, your community to take care of you, because we can't always depend on others, especially like government, to handle the situations when these come. They simply are just not capable. Our technology is not capable in a lot of these situations. New York State Police confirm reports of 2 looting incidents. Now, from what I understand, there's actually more than 2 now. But because of this, because they know the police are not coming, and because the power is out in a lot of areas, then here come the criminals, the looters. And let's not even talk about as far as like break-ins for homes too. I see this as being something even more catastrophic, it could be anyway, than simply just having bad weather. And the reason I say that is because as inflation increases and as the amount of police in departments is decreasing, not even talking about just storms, and as people are becoming more desperate, more and more violent, they're going to want to take what you have. And when you see storms coming through like this, it kind of like shows you the worst of what mankind can do. But I see that as a precursor showing you that what it's going to be like in the future, as I think some of this kind of stuff becomes more of the norm. Because as the lack of police in a lot of areas, which the police forces are becoming smaller, we're finding that people are becoming more emboldened, and we're seeing flash mobs and such too. But when you start seeing it happening in these winter storms in areas where you typically don't see this kind of thing, I think it's simply just a predictor of what's coming. We need to be ready. This is Goshen Prepping. We want to make sure that you are prepared for everything that comes, including security, keeping warm, and be able to stay out of harm's way. Because unfortunately, as we're seeing things progress, as we see all these things around the world progressing, we're seeing more and more troubles. And there's no better time than the present. You better be ready. We have to be prepared for this.